I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. With talk of the next patch coming up in basically about a week, I was going to go over some of the nerfs that I thought that maybe we could do with the big bad for. I'm doing fine, King Canada. Thanks for coming, as always. And the four that I wanted to talk about today were the most obvious one. The first one up on the list is Mr. LEECH. And the biggest problem with Mr. LEECH is the fact that he breaks your hand. And there's been lots of talk about changing his cost, about making it so that you can only play him on 5, about making it so that his effect only lasts one turn. And I thought of a different, unique way that you could basically nerf, maybe even buff him at the same time. Where you just take the on reveal on this and you take away the word opponents. So on reveal, remove the abilities from all cards and remove the in your opponent's hand. So if you do play him, he breaks your hand and he breaks your opponent's hand. That way, it basically still lets him be that big release valve. But if somebody catches him early, they get their hand bricked too. And I think you could even move him up to like maybe a 5-4 at that point. But even at a 5-3, it makes him basically more of a tech card. Which puts him in the same category as basically playing like a Sarah, if you put him like a 5-4, or like a Black Panther, more like a Sarah, or almost more like a Sandman at that point almost. So that way if you do get him early on LOCKJAW, your hand, you know that your opponent's hand got bricked too. It will keep his flavor, keep his status. And I think it'd be kind of a nice, interesting way of getting him done. And then you kind of got to worry about are you going to play him? Is it worth throwing him down on this particular deck, on this particular turn, knowing that if you play him, he's going to break your hand too? It keeps you from, it would be weird when you got him on, like, X-Mansion, but I can't consider X-Mansion for everything. Because a lot of these cards are weird on X-Mansion. But it would make it so that he's more of a tech card at that particular point. Because you know that you're breaking your hand and your opponent's hand. And you don't feel bad when your opponent plays this or gets this. Because you're like, yeah, he broke my hand. Or they break my hand, but they also break their own hand. So it also made it so that you couldn't do like your big 6-turn wombo combos. And be like, yeah, I can just throw down LEECH on turn 5, and then on turn 6, I can do my big wombo combo. It's because then your hand's being bricked too. Second one up on our list is also another 5-drop. And it's Red Skull. And the biggest problem with Red Skull isn't actually Red Skull himself. It's the Shuri. But the problem with Shuri is there's really no good way to change Shuri without completely changing how she works. And if you change it so that she doesn't double the power of a card, the next card that's played, she kind of loses her ability and she kind of loses her flavor. There has been some talk of Shuri and getting it so that she has to double the next card displayed in this location. Giving you a chance to maybe like know where they're going and telegraph it. Also means it's a little easier for like if you're gonna do like a Shang-Chi or something like that, where you know, hey, oh yeah, they're gonna play here, so I can play my Shang-Chi here. And while that's an interesting way to nerf the Shuri, I don't know if you want to do that. It kind of takes away, I mean, her flavor and her meaning. The problem is if you don't take away Shuri, I tried to think of a couple different ways of making Red Skull playable with the Shuri in the world. And the thing about Red Skull is because he's a 515, he's so hard to work around. Because I thought about making him give an additional +1 power. And that really with Shuri doesn't do anything. I thought about dropping him down to 13 from 15. And unfortunately with Shuri that still doesn't really do anything. If you drop him all the way down to 11, he'll just be completely unplayable. And the problem with that is the only solution I could think of with Red Skull. The only nerf that I could think of with him is to, believe it or not, raise him up to 6. I do not think this would be a bad card by itself as a 6-drop. I mean, compared to a lot of the other 6s that you got rocking and rolling, it'd be basically one of the heaviest 6-drops out there. I mean, even as a 6-drop, it basically puts you around the same position as, like, Hulk. Let me do this by power. I mean, you're still running at the same place as, like, Giganto. You're still playing at the same place as Destroyer. You know, it's as good, if not better, than Destroyer. Destroyer has a big negative to it. Oh, what is going on? Hang on, I gotta ban somebody. 1 second. There you go, banned. I don't know why you think that would ever work. Has that ever worked, like, even once? I mean, if you want to give me support, that's fine. You know, I've got places where you can follow me. I got places where you can subscribe to me. I've even got Patreon that if you want to support me. But, you know, come to my channel for a week, you know. Put a follow on me. Don't just come into my thing, because I'm not going to rate your stuff and I'm just going to ban you. Alright, so next up on the list for us is going to be the only one that I don't have on this particular account, so I'm going to have to put onto the unowned for a second. But I was able to play him on my other free-to-play account. I just haven't gotten him on my main account. And the big one on here that everyone keeps talking about is... And I gotta go back to A to Z. Where are you? a second. There he is Mr. Thanos. And the biggest problem with Mr. Thanos is, as he is right now, he does not matter in the deck. He has no rhyme or reason to be in the deck for being a Thanos deck. You're basically playing him just for the stones. And it's basically the stone that you're looking for more often than not with Thanos is, stop it, the time stone. And the biggest problem with the time stone is the fact that it gives you that energy draw. With no drawback to it. And the easiest way to fix Thanos is to fix the time stone. And I've thought about different things you can do, like making it a 2 energy. But that kind of wrecks how the rest of the stones work. But the one that I thought about is, what if instead of it saying draw a card, next turn you get +1 energy, it said draw a card. It said your Thanos costs 1 less energy. Now I know that seems like it's the same thing, but that way it would make it so that Thanos was more of the reason to play this deck. So that way if you threw down the time stone or got the time stone or was able to flip the time stone, you could make your Thanos cost 5, and then if you got him again, you can make your Thanos cost 4. Because the fact is that all these stones that are in here get played, but they don't get played for the Thanos. The only one that you might not see getting played in this, if it runs correctly, you might not see the Power Stone get played. Because you're not basically plugging and throwing down the Thanos, because a lot of times by the time you get all your stones down, if you get lucky, you're on turn 6 already. And Thanos is not worth even 24 on turn 6. So, the easiest, quickest solution around Thanos is to take the time stone, make it so instead of giving you +1 energy, he removes 1 energy from Thanos. So you can play Thanos a turn earlier, you can play him on 5. The other thing that I thought about doing with Thanos would require too much effort, too much power, too much fiddling around, too much coding. Let's basically make it so that Thanos would start in your beginning hand and he'd be a 0/0, and each turn that he was in play he would give you a stone, and each stone would give him +2 power just by itself, which would make him be like a 6/12 when all was said and done to start off with. The other one that I thought about doing is having the stones come in sequence, where you couldn't play this certain stones until you got other stones. Like you couldn't play a time stone until turn 5. Or maybe turn 4, so that way you could play it on 4, and then you would get the big drop on 6. But, I mean, that's the other thing you can do with the time stone, can only be played on turn 4. Because then with this, we'd only be able to play on turn 4. The problem with that is when we talk about the big last guy on our list here, it doesn't help the biggest, bad guy on here. And the last one that we need to talk about, who's the main culprit behind a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, is the Poper. And that's LOCKJAW. LOCKJAW, unfortunately, is the problem for anything that has on reveal. I mean, yes, there is a way that you can ramp up and play LEECH early. There is a way that you can get Time Stone early. The problem is that with LOCKJAW, if you play any card on LOCKJAW's lane, then the turn after that, you can get 2 on-reveal effects. Because you get the on-reveal effect for playing the card, and if the card that you get off of LOCKJAW is an on-reveal also, you get that on-reveal also. And the problem with that is it's kind of taking advantage of the fact of how on-reveal works. And the problem with that is if you play a card at LOCKJAW and it works once, it's fine. So you either need to make it so the on-reveal doesn't work when you play it on LOCKJAW or when it gets revealed from LOCKJAW. And the way around that is you basically would have to put an errata on LOCKJAW that says, basically only cards played here revealed. So, you could put that in as an errata. Only played cards revealed. That's 3 more words to add on this. Make them a little bit chunky for text. But if you put only played cards reveal on him, that would stop the double reveal that you get on him. So that way, if you get something like a Time Stone, or if you get something like a LEECH, you don't really sneak it out, cheat it out early, or you get the raw power of it. But because I don't hate the fact of what LOCKJAW's doing. The problem with him is simply the fact that he does it twice. So let's say you play a Time Stone on him, and then you get a Power Stone off of him, and then next turn you draw the power. You draw the Time Stone again. You can play the Time Stone on him again, flip down, and get a Soul Stone. And that's basically him double dipping. Now, this wouldn't stop LOCKJAW from doing some of the bigger things that he does, like when you play a 0 cost on him and you get like an Infinite off of him somehow. But I think that's how LOCKJAW was meant to be, because it's really hard to chain up your deck so that you play little stuff and then you get big stuff off of him every single time. And I really don't want to get rid of that effect for him. And I think if you made that as an errata on LOCKJAW, of only play cards reveal, here, fine, that's forward. Only play cards reveal here. You could make that so that you can actually get around this. Other than that, the only thing that I can think about putting on LOCKJAW would just to basically change this effect to ongoing. Because if you make this effect ongoing, then he's vulnerable to both Cosmo and Enchantress. And the only problem with him getting an Enchantress at that time would simply be the fact that like he's okay with Enchantress, but he like would be weird with her. Hey Trix! So those are the big four that I think need to be looked at the most. Because they're the ones that are really going to be problems down the line. And I want them to be fixed. I just don't want them to be destroyed. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, remember, play for fun.